has a lot of star power. We use it in pretty much everything that we cook, from fresh salads to fried foods. But is oil the hero or the villain in our diets? Is olive oil made from real olives? Could coconut oil be the new superfood? What are the dangers of burning oil?
When it gets beyond the smoking point, we'll get to what they call the flash point. Well, it will auto-ignite.
Could you be cooking with the wrong oil? We even fry up the big showdown. Butter versus margarine. Who will prevail, champion? Let's investigate the greasy truth behind the myriad of oils. For ages in the health circle, oil has been deemed evil. We have complicated words thrown at us, like saturated and polyunsaturated. But do we truly know what these words mean, or is oil simply misunderstood? I want to crack this case. We asked people on the streets if they remember the words on the packaging of oils, and if they have any idea what the lingo means.
Trans fat is more of unnatural fats.
Unsaturated, non-fatty, maybe.
Trans fat, unsaturated oil or butter.
All fats can be divided into saturated, unsaturated.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, hang on, Professor. Let's go back to the start. What actually is oil?
Oil is fat and fat is oil. Oils are usually liquid at room temperature and fats are solid at room temperature. There is a lot of debate about whether oils are bad or good. My view is that for practical perspective, we need to have some oils and fats in our diet. One, as a source of energy. Secondly, for the absorption of certain vitamins. And thirdly, the palatable desire for food comes from the presence of fat.
So Professor makes a good point. Oil is important for certain bodily functions and the richness of food. But there are countless types of oils out there. So, what kinds of oil are people actually buying?
Olive oil.
Palm oil, that's all.
Yeah, we go for vegetable oil, maybe olive oil. They are much more healthier.
Do you ever read the labels on the bottles? Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, I will see whether it's healthy.
Yeah, I actually look at that and all the contents about it, any trans fat or any natural fats. Yeah, mostly go for the healthier one.
When we go to the grocery, we usually just pick the first item that we see on the shelf, right? Maybe we've used it before, so it's familiar, or it's convenient, or sometimes it's just cheap. But the problem with that is we could be picking the wrong product. So I want to know, how do we choose the right kind of oil? There's one thing you should avoid, and everyone agrees that it's the real villain, trans fats. Just why is it so dangerous?
Trans fats increase your cholesterol. And increased cholesterol is a risk factor for heart disease. And therefore, trans fats should be avoided at all costs.
Now that makes me curious about another issue. How are people actually using oil in real life? Let's go snoop around. Shh! Don't tell anybody I'm here. I'm on a really exciting investigation today. I am going to raid the kitchens of 2 families with the help of a few little spies, all in the name of oil. Sound fun? Come, let's go. My secret agents will grant me access to their homes and a surprise peek into their kitchens. Well done, secret agent. Where's your mom? Oh! Surprise! Yeah, my name is Nikki. I don't think he told you I was coming. You didn't tell Mom, right? Very good. High five. He's my secret agent.
Akinda, you got a new friend. You never told me before.
He loves your cooking, so I'm wondering, because I'm investigating oil right now, so many different types of oil in this world, what is it that you like to cook with at home?
I normally cook sesame seed oil. Normally we use it for cooking. Also any other gravies, everything.
So how often will you cook with sesame?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day, every items.
Now let's check out what oils are hiding in the other family's kitchen.
I don't see much oil.
No, just
Where
all
else?
the seasoning. We have an oil here.
What is that?
Sesame oil is good for seasoning.
Do you use any other types of oil in this house?
I'm using rice bran oil.
Okay, why are you choosing rice bran oil?
Healthier choice.
Yeah? Who says? Who says is the healthier one?
Here.
The symbol.
Yes,
Everyone's
the symbol.
looking at this symbol. Can you use this for everything?
It's everything. This is one for all.
So, my investigations reveal that one family is a fan of sesame seed oil, sunflower seed oil, ghee, and butter. Meanwhile, the other family prefers to use rice bran oil for cooking and sesame seed oil for seasoning. Both families have one thing in common. They only use one type of oil at a time to cook. But can we actually combine cooking oils?
There's an urban myth that you can't combine oils, but my view is that actually it's a very sensible thing to do for two reasons. Firstly, by combining one oil that is high in PUFA, you may get its benefits. Secondly, if you use, for example, sesame seed oil with sunflower oil, the flavor volatiles of sesame, which is unique and wonderful, will give you a boost in your recipe or your dish. Therefore, combining oils is a very sensible thing to do.
Well, there's something to benefit from combining oils, but I wonder if the families are keen to try out a better oil out there.
Would you be open, or you only want to use sesame oil?
Oh, sure. For the sake of the children.
Coming up next, we reveal the top 3 essential oils for your kitchen. And what are the real dangers of burning your cooking oil?
You can smell that olive oil flavor, but then it's starting to smell even worse than olive oil, right?
Watch out for an oil blast if you don't act fast. Stay with us for more. Before the break, we raided the kitchens of 2 families to check out what types of oil they're using.
This sesame seed oil. We use it for cooking.
Okay, I'm using rice bran oil.
But one of them, or even both, could be using the wrong kind of oil.
One man who certainly knows his oils and how to cook with them is this gentleman to my right, Chef Dan Seagal. Now, Dan, a lot of people use so many different types of oil. Do we actually need this? I mean, are there certain types of oils that are better for different types of cooking?
If it didn't matter, there wouldn't be so many different types of oil.
Makes sense.
Let's backtrack a little to the kitchen raid. Are the families using the right type of oil?
This sesame seed oil. Normally we use it for cooking.
One household likes using sesame seed oil for cooking. So, what does Chef Dan think about that?
Sesame oil is a fantastic type of flavoring, but it's not really a cooking oil. But the best thing to do with sesame oil is to add it at the end after you've already cooked your food. The aromas, are volatile oils. So if I'm cooking these aromatic oils, all that aroma will be gone.
I remember that one family prefers frying their food with rice bran oil. But is that a good oil to deep fry with?
Let's say we want to deep fry something. I'm going to use soybean oil and probably a little bit of rice bran oil mixed in with the soybean oil. Rice bran oil's got a really rich, beautiful flavor to it, and it's also got a good cooking properties.
But it's still not the end of our investigations yet. We asked Chef Dan what are his top 3 must-have oils in his kitchen cupboard.
Interesting. 3. I would say definitely you have to have an extra virgin olive oil. Something that's versatile, not too expensive, got a nice flavor that you like. Then I would definitely have a very light oil, a high smoking point oil, either grapeseed oil or soybean oil. And that you can use for deep frying in your general saute as well. And then I think the last one that I would have personally would be rice bran oil.
So there you have it. Chef Dan's top 3 picks are the extra virgin olive oil, soya bean or grapeseed oil, and lastly, the humble rice bran oil. I'm positive about one thing. Everyone seems to look out for the best and healthiest types of oil. And that looks like a trend. I made a trip down to Lian Hap Singki's oil factory to confirm if this trend is real.
I'm here with Thomas. He's the operations manager at Lian Hap Singki. Is there one particular oil that you found to be really quite popular?
Recently, there have been a higher demand in healthier oil, the olive oil, sunflower oil. Consumers are getting more and more conscious, health conscious, especially about those recycled oil that is in the market.
So there's no doubt about it. Everybody loves olive oil. But what makes it so wonderful?
Olive oil has a whole range of benefits for the body. Now that's because of its free fatty acid structure, which has been linked to reducing the risk of heart disease and hypertension. But here's the thing, not all olive oils are made equal. Today, I'm going to give a few people a little bit of a treat. We're going to conduct a taste test. I have two different types of extra virgin olive oil, so I want to find out, can people tell the difference and which one do they prefer?
There are two samples of olive oils, cheap and expensive, in this test. But here's the catch. We'll only tell you which is which at the end of the test.
That's a no. Which one's better?
First one is better.
First one is better.
This one got more taste.
This one has more taste.
I think the red one's better.
Red one? Why?
It's more tasty, I guess.
I think the red one as well. It's a stronger taste.
Oh, you're a fan. You like this. You don't like it? You look like you want to spit it out.
Blue one.
The blue one. Yeah. You really were not a fan of the red, were you? How about you?
Yeah, I prefer the blue one.
Okay. You like that? I'm seeing in your face you're a fan of that. You're a fan of that too?
Yeah, it is stronger.
Very interesting results here. All in all, people really couldn't tell the difference between premium extra virgin olive oil and the cheaper one.
And the reveal you've all been waiting for. The winner is the cheapest grade of olive oil in the red dish.
The first one is one of the cheapest you can find in the store. The second one is pretty much the most expensive.
Okay.
Hey, no, that's
I wouldn't be
interesting.
able to tell which one was more expensive for sure.
For sure.
If our tongues can be easily fooled by different grades of olive oils, so can our eyes. But don't worry, let the food detectives teach you how to decode the labels on your olive oils.
I don't know about you, but I've always wondered what all the labels on olive oil bottles really mean. For instance, there's the very famous extra virgin olive oil. And it sounds fancy because it is. This is the most superior grade of olive oil that you can find. Now, the word extra refers to the fact that there's less than 1% free oleic acid in there. It's got a great taste, a gorgeous flavor, and wonderful aroma. Now, when you see the words light and mild, it means it's a blend of highly refined oil and lesser quality virgin olive oil. The light factor really means mostly it's light in color, it's light in taste. But do not be fooled by words like pure. What that means is that it's a blend of just regular olive oil and cheap extra virgin olive oil. All right, besides it's colorless, it's bland, it's not really gonna give you much flavor. The only time that you'll get a nice pure flavor is if there's a chemical and a thermal process happening with superior olive oils. You see, that's part of being a food detective. There's more than meets the eye.
But there's one very important thing you should be aware of when using olive oil for cooking. If you want to keep olive oil from becoming the villain in your kitchen, keep in mind these two words, smoke point. The smoke point is the moment when the oil gets too hot and starts to, well, you guessed it, turn into smoke. Every oil has a unique smoke point, but the olive oil has one of the lowest smoking points at 160 degrees Celsius. So, for some flaming hot results, we decided to put the mighty olive oil to the test.
When the oil is too hot, it can smell that olive oil flavor, but then it's starting to smell even worse than olive oil, right?
And this is why olive oil is not a good idea to use for frying. You'll get very acrid smell, you get a lot of smoke, you'll get some suffocating fumes.
When it gets beyond the smoking point, we'll get to what they call the flash point. Well, it will auto-ignite.
Now it's starting to flame.
So, what should you do if the oil catches fire? Bear in mind to never use water to put out an oil fire. When water hits hot cooking oil, it sinks to the bottom and vaporizes into steam. Due to the heat, water expands up to 1,700 times, creating a huge flame. According to Chef Dan, there are 3 quick ways to save you and your kitchen from an oil fire. Your best bet would be pouring salt, baking soda, or putting a lid on the flames. Coming up, we reveal our ultimate guide to deep frying.
Is deep frying bad for you?
Deep frying is not a bad thing.
How can you make it a healthy and yummy cooking method? And more on oils, who's the superhero of them all? Plus, don't miss the biggest showdown after the break.
It's butter versus margarine.
Previously, we played with the smoking points of different olive oils and got a fiery hot outcome.
When it gets beyond the smoking point, we'll get to what they call the flash point, where it will auto-ignite.
On top of the heat, we dished out the lowdown on choosing the right types of oils, while a savory taste test gave cheap and expensive oils a run for their money.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell which one was more expensive for sure.
Finally, we're getting closer to knowing whether oil is a hero or a villain.
In Asia, we often love to indulge in the guilty pleasure of deep frying our food. I know, it's yummy, but it's greasy, it's unhealthy, and it's often soaked in oil. But of course, that doesn't really stop us, does it? So I'm thinking, maybe there's a healthy way of deep frying our food?
Cooking Class 101 is in session. Chef Dan shows us how to deep fry the right way.
Chef, so is deep frying bad for you?
Deep frying is not a bad thing. It's only bad when it's done incorrectly. Deep frying is a dry cooking technique.
But how is that? How is that?
Because we're not adding any water. All we're doing is removing water.
We're cooking chicken, so
Yes.
at what temperature do we need it to be to know it's correct and ready?
We want to be between 165 to 175 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer, what you can do is get yourself a cube of bread. Toss it in your oil. If that bread browns in less than a minute, your oil is ready for cooking. When the oil's ready, turn off the heat. When you're putting the items into the oil, hold the item just over the oil or in the oil, and then let it go. Or even better yet, use a spoon.
Now, how do you know that it's cooked?
When the items start to raise up, we know we're getting there. When they're floating on top of the surface, then we know we're pretty much cooked. So, our chicken is ready. We'll pull that out of the oil. I always put it on some paper towel.
That's a good idea. And I love that sound, that shimmer.
Believe it or not, there's a science behind healthy deep frying. But how does it even work?
There is an anecdotal view that all deep frying is bad. When you cook the food at a higher temperature, the transit time in the cooking oil is smaller and shorter, therefore it will absorb less oil. And by doing this, you get all the flavors, you get all the volatiles that you require, but also minimize the fat absorption, and therefore you will have less fat that you will consume when you eat fried food.
Oils, as we saw just now in liquid form, are best for deep frying. But oils can also take on other shapes in a solid state. One of these forms is an imitation of butter, margarine.
Margarine is a very clever transformation of vegetable oil that's liquid into a solid fat. Margarine then is flavored to imitate butter. It also is added with vitamin A and vitamin D and color. So in a sense, margarine is a mimetic or a mimic of butter.
We asked Professor Dan what happens to oil in order to get it to a solid state.
This toy snake represents liquid cooking oil, and you can see how easily it moves. It's flexible, and that's why cooking oil is a liquid, because it has these spaces cut into it here. Injecting hydrogen in the spaces of the oil molecules is called hydrogenation. And this snake represents margarine. The spaces have been filled up. The parts that are filled are not nearly as flexible, and that's why margarine is harder or more of a solid than the cooking oil is.
There can only be one. It's butter versus margarine today. And who will prevail champion? Is it the original golden favorite or the imitation underdog? Let's find out.
And to resolve this contest once and for all, we hit the streets to find out whether butter or margarine is the favorite out there.
Butter, for sure, because butter is clearly for the taste.
I like butter better because it tastes better than margarine.
Margarine, as I had it from young. Butter and margarine. I prefer butters. Actually, from young, I actually use butters. And margarine more of an expensive substitute.
Yep, there's no contest at all. It's total victory for butter. Okay, people seem to love their butter. They may look similar, but what makes butter so different from margarine?
Butter is about 80% fat, about 10 to 15% moisture. Butter is made from cow's milk. It is also added with some bacteria for some flavor. Some of the butters that we sell are salted or unsalted.
Even though margarine lost the battle, it still has some redeeming qualities. But there's a scary rumor we want to investigate. Is margarine truly the villain, with talk of trans fat and chemicals?
There's been a public concern about consuming margarine. But thankfully now, most margarine manufacturers around the world have reduced the trans fat in margarine. So therefore, margarine is a safe product to consume. If you like and enjoy butter, stick to butter. If you like and enjoy margarine, stick to margarine.
So it turns out that oil, whether it's in a solid or liquid form, is not a villain after all. And there might even be some superhero oils waiting to be discovered out there.
Have you heard saturated fat's best kept secret? Coconut oil. Now this superfood works wonders. It can help ease kidney and heart problems, diabetes, cancer, and it even lends a helping hand to dental and bone health. Now, the magic lies in 3 acids: lauric, capric, and caprylic acid. Now they all contain antioxidant, antimicrobial, and antifungal properties. But you have to remember to go for extra virgin, unrefined, or cold-pressed oil.
So, what's the verdict on oil? Is it a hero or a villain?
Oils and fats are very important because they are a very rich source of energy. Fat is neither a hero or a villain. It's right in the middle. It's all about moderation and proportionality. So I would say to you, enjoy your food, enjoy your fat consumption, but everything in moderation.
Oil is truly inescapable in our diet. So instead of avoiding it like the plague, why not embrace it? By understanding how to choose and use oil wisely, understanding the various benefits. Remember, zoom in, read the labels, understand the lingo on the packaging, and if all else fails, well, there's always the super duper healthy option of coconut oil. So folks, happy cooking.